about a classical King's Indian? We'll call this a Jones variation, as Gawain Jones recommended this in one of his Chessable Lifetime Repertoire text on the King's Indian. I'm not sure if it was part one or part two, I'll be completely honest. But, I've been a big fan of keeping tension for a long time. And I liked it. God, it was probably the mid 2000s now when Grandmaster Perelstein on chess.com had a series on knight a6, and I was inspired by that and played it in a number of games with success until I found some significant problems with some of those recommended lines. Amazing what engines can do in a little bit of time. But the immediate e5 has the drawback of facing the exchange variation. So typically against lower rated players, I'm going to play some combination of queen or any moves which are not going to allow the queen trade. So from queen e8, knight bd7, knight a6, bishop g4, c6, anything that doesn't allow them to trade down because I want to leave tension in the position. So knight bd7, and for a long time I thought that this was not a good variation. Then I started looking at Gawain's notes, and he's got some interesting ideas. If you're not looking to shell out the amount for the Chessable course, take a look at the short and sweet, or just look at Gawain Jones' games playing the King's Indian in the database. Quite impressive from this position. So rook e1, I vaguely remembered this line. I knew you need to set up to play against the center. If white elects to close it, you're not in bad shape, pressing the pawn, and you get a pretty general King's Indian position, and you're going to look to get that knight out of the way and play for f5, which is typical when the center is locked. My opponent played bishop f1 immediately, and I remembered the analysis that was recommended with a6, keeps the tension. You may want to be able to play b5 at some point. Now, after rook b1, now I could not remember this move, and apparently it was the second choice in the database. You need to play e takes d4, a natural enough move. I played h6, just to wait and see. Because h6 is a useful move in a lot of these variations, because if white plays bishop e3, we have knight g4. And there is no bishop g5 to tempo the queen. But here, d5 needs to be played, and then I have to waste a tempo with a5, and I've misplaced a number of pieces, and white's got an edge. Should have played e takes d4. Well, he gave me the opportunity b4 to play e takes d4, and it's amazing that from this position, the game goes very much downhill for white in just a few moves. I play this aggressive c5, not allowing white to just expand. I give myself this weak d6 pawn. So I know I need to make something count, because in almost every endgame, I have the worst structure. So when you've adopted to play for this type of plan, you know you need to be active, keep tension, go after your opponent. So f3, how can we do that? Well, first, we'll start with bishop e6. Let's get a little bit of flexibility, get that last piece developed, and hit the c-pawn. So king h1, fair enough. I don't have any weaknesses. What are you going to do? He plays bishop f4, and this was the critical moment. It looks like you're just going after that weak pawn. I'm like, all right, these I thought of. Knight h5. What are you going to do? You want the free pawn? So I'm going to take. Then I've got some compensation there. In fact, black's better. If you just trade and help me get rid of my weakness, I'm trading advantages. So bishop d2 was played. That doesn't change anything. And my 2,500 rated opponent just kind of falls apart here. Bishop e5. Everybody's in the attack. I don't want the f-pawn. I want the e-pawn. Give me that queen. Now, it is a trade down job. Let's be as effective as possible. I'll give you that one because I was looking to trade some more. And I want you to notice I've used a lot of time. I'm in the hole. For the rest of the game, time is a factor with decision making. And though my opponent has a lost position, he keeps tension exceptionally well, and that shows why he's 2,500 in lead chess. You need to maintain as much tension as possible. Your opponent's low on the clock. Do everything you can to keep tension, keep them thinking, so you can run them out of time. And it was very, very close for him doing that. Once we got in this position, I've got 27 seconds left, and I'm like, okay, he's not making this easy, so I'm making an objective decision here, and the eval doesn't change as I trade down and clip a few pieces. So I just want to simplify the win, and again, he's doing what he can to keep tension. All right, so down to 12 seconds. Now it's playing hurry-up chess. It's easy to miss moves like knight g4 check, which just basically forces trades when you're now playing not to lose on time. 7 seconds to 16 seconds. Objectively, he should be able to get me here. I am down so much, but after g4, this ruins that tension keeping and now gives me a number of automatic moves I can play, which is what you are definitely looking to avoid when your opponent is really low on time. But watch, 2 seconds, 1 second. It's much easier to play the defensive side in chess with this type of position, so you can make automatic, quick moves. And even with 0.4, my opponent was still going strong, 0.3. And finally, he flags when I've got 0.6. Very, very tense game in time from an interesting opening inspired by Chessable's Lifetime Repertoire on the King's Indian by Grandmaster Gawain Jones.